marriage falling apart. That is really not fair in my opinion, and I don't think you deserve that kind of treatment at all. I know if I was in your shoes, this really depends on you, but I would show those text messages to my dad and be like, hey, what is going on here? And then maybe explain that you're just trying to rebuild a relationship with him and that you're not trying to like ruin his marriage or anything like that. Because the way his wife is acting is really weird, and in my opinion, I would not put up with that for another second. Today, I messed up by getting my first bad review, and I really do think that I absolutely deserved it after what happened. And at this point, I'm kind of worried that I'm about to lose my job. Here's what happened. Okay, I'm gonna start off by saying that I know I'm obviously in the wrong in this, and I kind of deserved it. The idea of leaving a customer with a bad taste in their mouth genuinely upsets me, and I just wanted to come on here and share what happened. So I work at a Hooters sports bar, and we are encouraged to chat with our tables, bring in regulars, and get people to have a good time. As long as you're doing your job, you can hang out with your tables for a bit, but you have to find a balance. I'm working tonight and I'm kind of busy, and I
Honkai Star Rail just passed.
have a regular that comes in that likes to talk and talk and talk. He will tip me very well, but when I say this guy's persistent, he really is. Like, he will see me trying to make a getaway and try to reel me back in, and I'm honestly kind of a people pleaser, so it can be hard for me at times to just walk away. I haven't gone over to him in a while, and my tables are caught up. So I decided I'm in a good position to go over and talk to him again, and he just starts going on and on like he does, and it starts getting really deep. He's talking about his chronic illness and his sick mother, and I sit down with him in the booth. As a note, we are allowed to do this, but I shouldn't have done it. And I do this to try and be engaging and sympathetic. And trust me, it was intense. My section was the booths, and the server before me was still in the restaurant, but now had a different section. She still had the booth that was right across from us, and the table of people had been there for a few hours. I see one of them peeking their head over, like they were looking for something through the booth screen. But at this point, there was no way of getting out of the conversation.
Honkai Star Rail just passed 80 million downloads.
And I figured that they've been there a while, so they would be okay until she got back. I was in that booth for probably 10 to 15 minutes before we even kind of got close to a stopping point for the conversation. It's a crazy amount of time to be away from tables, I know. I remove myself and I'm stressing, and I beeline to my other tables and they're all happy, but are almost finished with their drinks and need plates removed from the table. It's kind of messed up, but my first priority was to get to the tables of my own, and I didn't even think about the fact that her table might have needed something in that moment. Walking back over, I realized that that booth had two guys sitting there. No coasters or anything. Before I even think about anything, my automatic reaction was to run up and greet them. I see that they are fixated on their computer and notebook and relax just a little bit, thinking they've been there for a few minutes and that it's okay that they are probably staying a while. For some reason at this point, I was thinking that the busser had cleaned off the old table from the old server's party, and I had gotten a new one in the time I was catching up with my tables. I use the same introduction as I give everybody. I say my name, and then I ask how they're doing. They said they are doing okay.
A national taste test determined America's favorite boneless wings. Applebee's won. How about that? We don't even have wing in our name.
Honkai Star Rail just passed 8.
Get them now for just 50 cents. Only at Applebee's.
I'm gonna try it. I'm actually going to You got a vape?
Okay, and that they just need waters. And then I see one of them scribbling away something on his notebook. I'm walking away, and I'm thinking about the fact that I saw someone bobbing their head around in the booth, and that they could have been there the entire time. They could have been sat while I was talking to him, and I didn't notice. I mean, who knows? I run back over with the waters immediately, and they're gone. And then I see a note on the table, and this is where I realize I really messed up. I take the note, and I walk up to the host, and I ask when she sat them. But before I say anything, she tells me that she's leaving. I realize that I don't think anyone even noticed what happened, although I definitely think she could have seen them leave. I read the note in the back, and it says they were there for 20 minutes, and that it's unacceptable how long they were unable to get any service in that amount of time, which I agree I definitely messed up. I feel really guilty. I was all caught up with a regular and then also catching up on my tables and I just didn't notice them. I then immediately knew to check reviews online and there it was. He goes pretty ham on me too. He added that I was flirting with a guy across from them the entire time and they didn't get any service. I have kind of a weird name, so thankfully he didn't catch it in my introduction, but I just wish they could have stayed. Like, I would have brought over a manager and made things right if they wanted. I think I have a semi-likable personality, and I could have made their experience a little bit better. Now, here's the thing. I didn't tell anyone. They go crazy on us about getting good reviews, and I've seen a girl get let go for getting a bad one. They will talk about the bad ones for weeks. Our manager gets bonuses for having high review percentages on their shifts, and they will try to find out who it was, and I know the girls will say my name because a couple of them pointed out to me how long the regular was there for and how long I was talking to him. He stayed to talk long beyond I was cut, and the restaurant cleared out as well. I told them about the contents of our conversation and that it was hard to walk away. It's not really an excuse, but still, I think I might be toast, and I'm honestly worried about
Honkai Star Rail just passed.
what's gonna happen next. Okay, I've got to be completely honest with you. Staying and talking to a customer for 15 minutes is insane to me. Like, sure, you want to be personable with them and help them feel comfortable and all that good stuff. I totally understand that, and I don't doubt that your intentions were good. But 15 minutes in a restaurant is a really long time. That is seriously way too long for a customer to wait, especially since they haven't even ordered. And I'm not even talking about like waiting for your food. That's like a whole different animal. Like, if I have to wait for my food to be done correctly, then I'm gonna wait. I'm personally pretty patient in that regard, so waiting for my food to be cooked and properly prepped doesn't really bother me. But for me to be sat down at a table and then no one shows up for over 15 minutes, that in my opinion would be completely unacceptable. Like, I can understand why they were upset and why they decided to walk out and leave a bad review. But on the other side of that, the customers very easily could have gone up to the host and been like, hey, what gives? Where's our server? And then they could have hunted you down and figured it out from there. So I think everybody kind of like missed the mark in this regard. And if they really wanted timely service, then they really should have communicated and said literally anything. So hopefully you can keep your job. I think it would be very silly for you to lose it all because of one bad apple, especially when that bad apple could have spoken up if they really wanted to be served. An entitled representative on a customer service line demands that I pay for equipment that I didn't order that's valued at over $500,000. So I decided to maliciously comply, paying for this equipment for only a couple $1,000s, thus resulting in me getting the deal of a lifetime and him getting investigated for possible manager fraud. And I've honestly never felt better about getting back at someone in my life. Here's what happened. So last year, I was ordering an upgrade for the server room at work. It was a large, expensive upgrade that cost over $500,000. Now, if you've ever had to call a manufacturer to order equipment at this amount, you may know that once you get a good reputation with a manufacturer, they tend to cut red tape for you to maintain a good working relationship with your company. I, in the past, have bought equipment for my personal use at home, and it takes forever to get a rep on the phone, and they often screw you on the deal. While I was making the order with a manufacturer, I inquired about getting personal equipment, just to see if it would be possible to make a separate order for myself with my own money. Now, the rep had no issue with it, and was happy to make the second order. He placed both orders and even gave me a company discount for my order. Now, I did make it perfectly clear that the second order was a personal order, and not in any way connected to the corporate account or order. He confirmed this, and the order was locked. A few months went by, and the equipment showed up in the loading dock at work, and everything was in order. However, my order never arrived at my house. I attempted to contact the manufacturer, but got put on hold for hours. I gave up for now, and figured I would try again in a few days. The next morning, the equipment showed up, and it was an exact match for the equipment that was sent to my work. Now, keep in mind, the order I placed for my house was a blade server that was just over $6,000. This was not what I ordered. I went into panic mode, as I can't afford this equipment, and when they bill me, I will be screwed. I checked my bank account, and I found no charges yet. Now, I'm really panicking, as I now think they billed it to my company, effectively double charging them. And at this point, I expect I'm gonna be fired. When I returned to work after my weekend, I emailed billing and I got a copy of the invoice. Well, they didn't bill my company for the equipment sent to my house. Now I'm really confused. So at this point, I drop it. It is a pain to get them on the phone, and I can't call the corporate line when it's a personal order. A month later, I got an invoice in the mail with a late charge for failure to pay. So I think to myself, okay, I can finally get this fixed. I I see that they want $6,000 plus a $250 charge for late fees. And I think to myself, okay, that's odd. I call the retention number and I got a representative. I gave her the account number and she told me she needed to transfer me to a manager due to the amount. The manager picks up the phone and I tried to explain that the bill is wrong and the equipment they sent wasn't what I ordered. And he immediately just cuts me off and says, "You will need to pay the invoice. You're in violation of the contract and we will sue you if you don't pay it immediately." I tried to explain the equipment issue, but again, he cut me off and demanded that I pay. So I told him I would take care of it then. I said, "Sorry for being such a pain. I will call my bank right away." I then confirmed the bill amount and the part order number from the equipment labels. He confirmed it and said, "See, there was no mistake." And as I was about to hang up, I know I heard him say in a smug tone to someone else that this is how you deal with jerks. Well, I called my bank and I got them to unblock the transaction. It was stopped for fraud alert. The amount was paid and I am now the owner of a $500,000 server room in my basement. A few months later, I had to order some more connectors for the fiber lines and I spoke to their representatives again. I inquired about buying a personal device again since the last time went so well. Apparently they can't do that anymore since apparently they were going through a manager fraud investigation. And honestly, I've never felt better about getting back at somebody in my life. Wow, that is a massive mess up on the company side. Instead of getting this fixed and figured out, they just demanded that you pay $6,000 for something that's worth over $500,000. Like, I don't know much about servers or anything like that, but I'm willing to bet that this was probably a steal. So good for you for maliciously complying and paying for that server and getting back at that really rude representative, because I'm sure they went through a nightmare being investigated for possible fraud. Am I the jerk for being unable to retrieve a bracelet that a guest dropped in the pool that I'm a lifeguard at? Because after I was unable to find her bracelet, she had the audacity to call me lazy. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. So I work at a large pool in Florida that has an artificial waterfall that guests can go behind. Yesterday, while I was on duty, a woman came up to me and said that she lost a bracelet directly under the waterfall. I was annoyed since we tell people not to wear jewelry in the pool, but I said that I would try to grab it. Swimming under the waterfall is quite difficult because it is high pressure water. You can't really come up for air unless you swim past it, which is difficult if you're diving to the bottom because it's about 8 feet deep. Despite this, I attempt to dive down there with no goggles. And as you might expect, I can't find the bracelet. I came up for air and was instantly waterboarded by the waterfall. I decided to go at it again, and I still couldn't find it. After 2 attempts of diving down to 8 feet and holding my breath the whole time, I had had enough. I told the guest I couldn't find her bracelet. She then started ranting at me about how lazy this generation is and demanded to speak to my manager. I explained to her that we actually empty the pool every night because it's fed by a spring, and that I would check the pool for it tonight. Well, she wouldn't relent. So I got the manager and he explained the same thing and asked her to leave her number so we can call her if we find it. She then proceeded to get her belongings and leave. She didn't even return the key to the locker she rented, and she didn't leave her number either. We did end up finding her bracelet, but we don't have any way to get it back to her, so it's literally just sitting in lost and found. So honestly, am I the jerk here? Should I have tried harder to find it initially? What should I do? You are definitely not the jerk here. That lady is insane for trying to make you do that over and over again. And then for her to call you lazy all because you couldn't find it. It's like, are you kidding me? Why did you bring a bracelet into the pool in the first place? That really should have been left with your stuff, and there was no reason for you to bring that into the water. It's also glaringly obvious that she does not care about your safety at all. Like, if she thinks you're being super lazy for not holding your breath for a long time, then she can get in the water and try and find it herself. So no, you are definitely not the jerk, and that lady was completely out of line. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.
A power-hungry Karen tries to get me fired, but it ends up all backfiring, and she is the one who gets fired. And when that happens, she tries to sue for discrimination, which failed epically. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. A few years ago, I started working for a heavy industrial manufacturing company. I lucked out and got a great supervisor from my boss, Joe. The work was hard, working 12-hour days for 13 days in a row, and then a Sunday off, and then back for another another 13 days. I was young and I didn't mind. It helped my wife and I save up for a house. After about 6 months, Joe noticed I was picking up on the work pretty fast and promoted me to a group leader position. This came with a raise and increased responsibility that most other workers didn't want. Joe put me in troubled groups in his department, and I would work on general improvements and figuring out the issues. This was a union shop, and the mentality was to just put in your hours. Don't work harder or smarter, just do your time and don't kill the job. That was the unspoken motto. After a few years, Joe was promoted to manager, and he transferred me with him to his departments. While I wasn't a supervisor yet, I was the supervisor in all but name. The supervisors loved it because they never had to leave the office, and I liked it because it was a good learning experience. I made a good reputation and got a lot of respect from workers and from management. Eventually, Joe's areas were doing so well that he was promoted to plant manager. As before, he wanted to promote me with him, this time to a supervisor spot. We talked at length because the only supervisor spot open was working for Karen. Karen was female, a minority, and a member of the LGBTQ community. She was the poster child on the company website of the inclusiveness in the workplace. Literally.
Before the 2020, like, no one really gave a crap what you did. And now, like everybody will S&T bag you. Like, I remember, like, in now schools are like, pay us money and think you can't eat if you don't. You barely give us that anyways. Why pay us? Your food in like a second grade is like a 2-year-old cooking. Barely seasoning or nothing. And I'm for 25 cents. Not for a penny. And they decide you over $1 for eating like something that I could, like a little bit of canned peas. Schools are just dumb. Life is stupid. And when was the time we could relax? And wasn't everything about bull crap? When was it, like, I think of a song that it was like, when was it the time you remember where we didn't fight, we didn't kill, we didn't do that crap? When was the time when we hugged it up? When was the time that we loved it up? Every day I wake up thinking tonight will be the last night I breathe. Because I feel suicidal, I wanna die. Want to pull a gun to my head. People don't understand how it's hard to be a certain kind. Harder than people think to live as another person. I don't care who you are, don't care how you act. If we're good, friendly and nice, we can get along every day of our lives. There was a time you remember where we didn't argue or fight. When you remember when we all could show support and love and love. Love and love. Now we're all arguing about dumb shit no one gives a fuck about. Way before 2020, life with people, life was enjoyable. Now life is hatred, hellish, if you say so. I can't remember the last time I relaxed in peace. Can't remember what the days where we all could hug and laugh, talk it off, love and laugh and talk it off. Yeah. I can't remember the last time where I could come out my room and smile without it being like I could put on a smile because that's the only thing I know what to do. Life is hatred, but we don't have no one else to do. Justice, people think justice, they're all think wrong. Everything is hellish. Why can't we all could go back to the time of 2019? When can we could go back there when life was peaceful? where we wasn't all hiding. Remember the time where we could actually feel free. Remember the time back the last time we could be free. When was it? When can you remember where we could get along and you gave a crap? Now I can't walk out to the sea on my room without being called something. You're fat, you're disgusting, you're useless because you have a disability. You're just useless. They broke me down so far to where I can't even hold my own heart beating. Can't remember the last time I was laughing, smiling, and wasn't a slave. Can't remember the last time when I was free, fucking free. We all wanna be free in our own place. Everyone think we're all chaotic. No, people make it chaotic. When was the last time we could be free? We're all in the matrix at this point. We're all slaves. We're all slaves. When the last time we were free from our living in slavery? When we were free? When was it? We can't all run, we can't all hide, can't all laugh, we can't all cry. Everyone think I'm insane. I just wanna be free. Just wanna be free from this hell. Wanna be free. Wanna be free from this hell. From this hell. That's what I mean. Like now, everything is random. And our minds so they brain rotted because of the pandemic. Like, I do not care who you are. I just do not. If you're a friend, you're a friend. If you're a foe, you're a foe. What's the difference? What if you're breathing to even make things live? And A, not everything is same. I know that. But since 2020, life is hell. And everyone, like women, like, hey, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. We want to be equal. Or, no, men should be fighting to be equal. Like, women could sit up and relaxing. Who going to war? The men. Most time, in most crap, women are men. Like, you don't have to be scared of anything. And women will take things too far. Like, I can't remember a girl who was two-faced as fuck. Two-faced as fuck. Except one girl. I'm calling her. She was at my school. I'm not gonna call her by her real name. I'm gonna call her by a name called R. That's her first initial of her name. But basically, like, she hasn't changed. Basically, my mom and her mom are friends. And I love my mom a lot, because if you need a hand to be held by her, she will give you that. And she's a real warrior. So, but, in my opinion, fathers should be less like a certain thing. It wouldn't be like, oh, my husband left to have a boy. For women, it's different things. More likely, we were tired of chaos. Because, and my sister, she will cause chaos for no fucking reason. And it'll be over randomness and crap. Like, oh hey, blah blah this, blah blah that. And like before 2020, like we didn't care what you were. Except and they were more lively. Now it's cool. Now life is hectic. I'm gonna be scared when I have kids. Because I'm scared for military mostly. Because now men are like weak. Because if I see someone who acting weird or something like that, well, it'll take more to pay me off. Yeah. I don't I will judge someone on their first day to see okay, are there someone I can lean back to? Is something going on? Or something like that. And most of the time I can lean back on someone who I have two good friends. I can lean back onto them if they're if I'm in pain or something like that. But if I do someone else, they'll be like, walk it off. Be what a man is. What the fuck is a man? People be like, be a man. Walk it off. What the fuck is a man supposed to be like? No one explains what a man supposed to be like. What are we supposed to be like? Heartless? I don't want to be heartless. And another weird thing I have, a weird ability, I can make anyone my friend. At all. See y'all. Tell me if I'm in any trouble.